Alright, I think I'm going to get some friendly action here from my clan president. I think he accepted my challenge. Alright, we got some of the monster marshals. This is the one I've been looking for. Want to definitely run through, since I'm in friendly here, I'm going to run through my clubs. I should have a bag with a big topper, and I want to kind of see what that shot over on the other side looks like, just to kind of explore that area to the right. See how Mike does here. I like the fact that they haven't changed the color scheme to that blue. It always messes me up when they do these Halloween holes and they change to the different colors. So let's see what we got here. Bag number 1, Spring of Titan. Let's see what this looks like up here in this area. So you can see, if we with that headwind, I can get up into this fat part of the fairway right here. And that's the spot that you really want to kind of hit in if you're going for that spot. Well, let's see what it looks like with a big topper. Got a big topper. Just curious to see like how can you get over the sand. And you're going to have to hit up into that area. I'm going to let the time out. I'm going to use my big topper and I'm going to put some curl on it and see what it looks like if it goes through those trees, and see if I can eke my way through this area. I know with an extra mile and a bigger ball, so if you used a 5-power ball, you could probably get up to that spot and go for it, but this is going to be one of those things where you'd have to hit it absolutely perfect. And you'd have to practice that shot in order to know like what kind of topspin, backspin, side spin that you're going to need to get through up to the hole. So you're going to have to be willing to invest a few balls in order to get that down. I'm making coffee in the background. That's that noise you hear. It's only like 9 o'clock at my house at night, so I'm just drinking a cup of coffee and chilling out. Yeah, let's try the big topper and the Titan and see what kind of action I can get on the ball and see like where it ends up. Because the big topper's got so much curl. I'm just wondering if I can eke it through that area. I want to be 2 rings off, and it's about 2 per ring, so I'm going to be about a ring off at max power. Isn't it perfect? See if I clip those trees over there. Whew, those are close. I think I might have clipped that tree. That's not good. Close. It was close, but I think it hit one. I think it actually clipped one of those trees. Trying to do that, just the whole goal there was just to see where it ends up. I mean, does it end up in the drink? Does it end up in the front? Does it end up, like where does it end up? Mike's giving me an opportunity to get my stuff back. He knows I'm shooting videos here. That's 4-5. And we'll just walk it around that tree and get on. Get up there in a nice little chip. We'll tell him to get in the hole. Get in the hole. I got you. So that shot, man, trying to do that curl. The whole goal there was just to see where it ends up. Like, you got to shoot those shots and be expecting that you could end up in the drink, and you may end up out of it, but you'll never know what's going to happen unless you try that shot. So it's too bad that it did look like it clipped the tree, because it had plenty of distance to get out there. I hit it great to the right, which is the worst side to hit that on. In the hole, just barely. All right, maybe we'll get a bonus action here, get some more of the Monster Marsh, and we didn't. We got one of the Oasis holes. I don't know if this club's got enough backspin to get me to stop. And it's about 2.0 per ring. See how the rings get distorted here? So you got to kind of extrapolate where the edge of the ring is. So there's 2. I'm going to do about 1.5 rings. Hitting it perfect. Just eking it up towards the hole. This is a super dangerous hole in tournaments. You see a lot of people epic fail on this hole. This is a very low percentage hole-in-one hole. I mean, I don't even remember. I've probably gotten 1 hole-in-one on this hole, but it can't be many more than that. It's not a very high percentage hole-in-one hole. It's one of those holes that can definitely eat your lunch, especially at higher divisions if you're playing in pro and expert. This is a super dangerous hole. It might be one of those holes, if you're playing from the pro tee or the expert tees, that you're probably going to be shooting in with your driver, and it might be a hole for the rocket because it's got lots of backspin, especially if you got an upper developed rocket where it's got its backspin. This might be a great hole for a rocket. Rocket has 2 places. It's when you first start the game, and then later on in life, especially when you're playing from the second tee, there'll be some of these holes that you can drive in at them. And the rocket, when it gets upper developed, you kind of leave it by the wayside for a long time, and then once it gets upper developed, you'll get that backspin, and then it becomes a usable club again on some holes in tournaments. Monster Marsh, hole 3, par 5. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see what hole we got here. I can never remember the holes until I get on them. I keep waiting for Golf Clash to come out with an 18-hole tournament. They've got all these courses, and the whole reason they do that is that the reason they don't show the score when you're playing in a tournament and you're on hole number 1 and you play somebody and they don't show the score is because that person that you're playing against may be on hole number 10. And so it'll show that you got a birdie and they got a birdie, or you got an eagle and they got an eagle, or it'll show that, but it won't show your overall score because they may not be on the same hole as you. And so that way they can run twice as many people through. So when people are going in, if they've got somebody that's in the same bracket, divisional bracket that you're in, then they can run a lot of people through by having 9 holes and being able to double it up. But we have enough people playing the game now that it'd be nice if we could have an 18-hole tournament. So my goal is to get over to the trees and the shadow in the trees on the right. And I definitely want to take my accurate bag. And I want to take a katana. You can see where it curls down right there. So I want to give myself plenty of room from that. I want to be a couple rings off of where it curls down. I want to push the limit over there. 1/6, a little over a ring and a half. And I'm going to put a bunch of curl on it. Isn't it perfect? I think that might be too much curl. We're going to see here. This is a great practice around here. Nope, that was perfect. That's what I'm looking for, is I want to get up in those shadows. So I could get a little more distance on that. But the farther out in those shadows you can get and the farther to the right you can be, the more you open up this mouth and you can come in at it straighter. And there's a ridge. It's hard to see right here. Right here it just looks like it's flat, but if you've played this hole at all, and they may have, yeah, there is a drop there. Now you can see from the angle that he's at how much curl he has to put on there in order to bring the ball back around. It almost looks flat now. It's not flat, it still slopes down at this side, but there used to be a very defined ridge on that. So his club is 3/6, so he did about a 10% overpull. Hitting it great to the right, which took out the overpull. That was a nice shot. Gave himself a look. I like to be about 3 rings off. And let's see where I'm at in my club. There's max. I'm going to play the max number even though I'm in mid club. So it's 3-3, so I'm going to do a 3.3 ring pull. Trying to hit it perfect. Hit it great to the right, 1 ring. And that was about 1 ring great to the right. It's hard to tell. You can't get good reads. You can get good distance reads. So like right there, I can't get a good read on whether or not the wind adjustment's right. But what I can get right there is that the speed's good. So I was going right at the cup. My ball guide ended right at the cup. And that speed was just about right. So sometimes you'll go right at the cup. So like the first time I come to a hole when I'm practicing, I'll put my ball guide right where it ends, right at the cup. And then you come rolling past the cup like this, and so what you can do is you can pull it back just a little teeny bit so it ends before the cup. And sometimes you'll go right at the cup and it'll end up being short. So that means that the run up to the cup is uphill. And so you'll want to put your ball guide just a little through the cup. And so you can always be cognizant. If you hit it great, you may not be able to learn what you're doing, what you need to do as far as left and right wind adjustment, but what you can learn is distance. So since I have a 3-sidespin ball, I'm going to go ahead and go on this side. They redesigned this hole and they moved that tree so that it hangs over that little island, and I liked it better the other way because it put a shadow out here. And my mark for where I was going to go, where I set my shot up, was that shadow. And now I don't have that shadow. But one of the things I do like is that they changed this cup, and there used to be a hill right here. And if you were down on the bottom side where I'm at, to get up to the cup was a super hard putt, super dangerous. Like you could be that far away and your putt would go in this big arc in order to get back up to the hole. Now there's a bunch of ways that you can come at this. You can do this. You can do a rough bump up here. One of my teammates did a rough bump from the other side over here and brought it around. I'd never seen anybody do that before, and it looked really dangerous depending on which way the wind's blowing. But there are at least two different spots that you can use for effective rough bumps. But typically I would only do those if the wind was going like almost pure side wind. Let's see if they can get up there. He's got a really good chance of getting up there and getting really good. If he can make it. Good game. All right, let's see if we can get one of those monster Marshalls. We'll play for like 30 minutes here, see if he wants to play again. I like playing against my teammates because I can come out here and I can practice a hole when we're doing this stuff. And if I need to, I can bring out a big ball, and I don't look like an idiot for bringing out a big ball on a Tour 4 hole. You know, we can actually come out and practice and do some stuff. So we got Monster Marsh, hole 5, par 5. Maybe we can get out there. Most of these holes, I have a pretty good idea of exactly how I'm going to play it, but there's some of the holes I definitely want to explore, and this is another hole that I want to explore how I'm going to play. So, traditionally, you know, the shot is to come out here, and in one-on-one play, you lay up here a lot. But what I want to explore is getting out over into that fairway area over there. The problem here is I'm going to do a straight shot, hitting it perfect, and see if that top spin's too much. That's about right. So that should put me in my short iron range. So if I had any kind of tailwind coming in this direction, and I'll tell you what, in the tournament, it's really going to depend. Like, you know, like I want to explore that shot right now, but the shot to take may be the shot from over here. And it's all going to be dependent on which way the wind's blowing. So if the wind's blowing so that when you're over on this side right here with your long iron, the wind's behind you and you got a pure tailwind, that's a better shot than being over here, because now I'm going to be hitting with a pure side wind. If the wind's blowing this way, so that when I'm over here I'm hitting with a pure tailwind, then that means that this, and I'm with a short iron, and then that means that with your long iron you're hitting against a side wind. It's always better to hit against the tailwind, because then you have to make less of a wind adjustment. So it's good to explore these shots on these holes and have an idea of what shots are available. And then once we get into the tournament, we'll have to adjust based on the wind that we get. Okay, so I've got my short iron. Let's see what kind of distance I'm in. There's min. There's max. So that's about mid. So I'm kind of in between mid and max. When I'm in between in this area, I hit 1.5 per ring. And I want to get right up on it. So that's about 2/3 of a ring. And you hit it perfect. I hit it great to the right. One ring. I got a little lag there. Perfect would have been right in the hole. That was a good look at it, though. That's why I want to explore that side over there on the right, because being able to come in there with a short iron And then if you're in between clubs like that, you know, working out that number. The way I work that is just as a starting point, and then you may have to make some adjustments on it as time goes, as you get more practice on that hole. But it's 1.1 at max, and it's 1.9 at mid. So that's a 0.8 swing. Half of that's 0.4. So if I add 0.4 on the 1.1, that ends me up at 1.5. And that just gives me a place to start. Awesome shot. Nice shot. Very nice. Very nice. That's what I'm talking about right there. Getting it done, Mike D. Mike is my clan president. Lives in Texas. I don't hold that against him. We got one of the Oasis holes. I'm gonna have some fun here. I'm gonna go with a Marlin. I'm gonna use my number 1 bag. I'm gonna come out into this area right here and take the wind out, which is about a 2-ring pull. I'm gonna do the max overpower hook. Trying to slice it up there and end up in the fairway. And with a Marlin, I overshot that fairway. So if you find yourself on this hole with some crazy wind, you can do this shot right here, and from that area out there with a Nirvana, you can get on. So if you bring a Titan and you want to try this, and you're playing this hole in tournament, you can try that same shot and try and blow past out there. Now you may end up in the sand on the other side. It's a roll of the dice. You may end up in the sand, but if you can catch the fairway over here, you have a really decent shot. And this is the other way. I prefer the right hand side to the left. Now with my lower level account, I play the left just because my quarterback doesn't have quite enough curl on it. When I get my quarterback up to level 7 and it starts to get some more curl, then this shot right here will be a much better shot. And this hole is really good with a rock. You can blast a rock up there. You don't have to do the max overpower, because if you got a maxed out rock, it is awesome. You can get way up there. Alright, so where's my max club? Max club, I'm going to do the rough bump. See if I can get where I can see what's going on. Go right at it. 1-3. At max club, it's 2 per ring, so there's 1. So it's a little over a half a ring. And I hit it great to the left. Now that's the cool thing about hitting with a side wind like that, is if you're doing those rough bumps with a side wind and you hit it great to the left or the right, you're in the spot. But sometimes because of your arc on your shot, if you've got a headwind or a tailwind, number one, it's super dangerous to hit those little teeny rough bumps with a headwind or a tailwind, because if you don't make a perfect wind adjustment, you're in big trouble. So like right here, Mike is pretty close to mid club, more towards minimum than he is towards max. And so at minimum club, it's like 1.3 per ring, 1.4, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it'd be like a 1-ring pull. Let's see how far he pulls it. He pulled it about a ring and a half. So I did a max wind adjustment there. So if he hits it perfect, let's see if it goes in the hole. What's funny is I caught this hole right before I started filming this, and I hit this rough bump with my Guardian and put it in the cup. So that overpull right there, half a ring overpull, and the hitting to the grate to the right, or excuse me, grate to the left, hitting it great in the cup. I'm never worried about getting in the rough over there on the other side, because if you have a Nirvana, now we had a good wind there, but if we'd had a headwind, I could have gone way out to the left and then brought the ball back onto the green and not tried to go for the Albie, but just get my ball on the green, make my putt, and go to the shootout. So you have some options out there if you've got an Amazon in your bag or a Nirvana in your bag. If you don't have one of those two clubs in your bag, I would recommend not ending up in the rough out there, because it will be very hard to get on. All right, we got one of the monster Marsh holes, and I have the right club. I think I'm doing an adjustment on this hole, if I remember correctly. Let's see if Mike does the bounce over or if he goes forward. So he's going to do the bounce over. So you're going to get two different demos of this hole. So the bounce over here. Now what I would do, if I was going to take this shot right here in the tournament, I would wedge my blue rings down into that pocket, and then I would continue to dial my shot in from that spot. That way every time you come to the hole, the first thing you do is you set your blue rings up, and then you start making your adjustments. And once you figure out the adjustment for that shot, then you can set up, and then you can make the little micro adjustments where you can just move it just a little bit to get it to the spot that you want. It's really difficult when you're shooting these par 3s and you don't have a set spot. Okay, so there's my minimum club. So minimum club with the Guardian's about 1.7 per ring. I'm going to go right at it. I'm not sure if this comes back, but I'm going to expect it to come back. So I'm going to go right at the cup and then see what happens. So I should be about 1.7 per ring. So there's 3, 4. That leaves me 6. So we're about 2 1/3 rings. And I didn't add anything on that or do anything. That was just a pure straight up maneuver, and we can see what happens. So you can see how it's beyond the hole. So like normally when I set those backspin shots up, the second bounce is in the cup, and then the third bounce hits and then draws back to the hole. So what I want to do there the next time I come here is put my third bounce in the cup and then see how it responds. Still make it just a normal wind adjustment. Once I get the distance right, then I can start working on wind adjustments. But the first thing you want to do when you're doing those shots is you want to try and get your distance right. Don't try and do too many things at once. So like for me, I'm a one thing at a time kind of guy. So it's like work on distance. Once we get our distance right, then I can start making adjustments for wind. And then once I get that dialed in, I should be in the cup. All right, that was Monster March hole 1, par 3. And that was, 29 minutes, so we got about a 30-minute video there. Thanks for watching.